In this presentation, I'll be talking through expectations before and on assessment day, including some of the key information trainees should be aware of in the lead up to the assessment and what to expect on the day itself. The aim is to help trainees feel more familiar with the assessment process, understand the key guidance and requirements, and feel more prepared and reassured ahead of the sitting. Before applying to sit the assessment, it's important to feel confident that you're ready. Being ready to apply means making an informed decision based on your progress, preparation, and overall well-being, and feeling prepared to undertake the assessment. There are a number of factors to consider when making that decision. You should be progressing appropriately through your foundation training without significant disruption and continuing to work towards achieving your learning outcomes. It's also important to be familiar with the assessment framework and format and make use of the guidance and resources available on the GPhC website. If you require reasonable adjustments, you should ensure applications are submitted within the relevant deadlines, and it's helpful to be aware of any remaining assessment attempts and registration timelines. Just as importantly, take time to consider your health and well-being and whether there is anything that may impact your readiness to sit the assessment. Ultimately, it's about making a balanced and informed decision so that you feel you are in the best possible position to take the assessment. I'll give an overview of reasonable adjustments. These are put in place to make sure you are not disadvantaged in the assessment if you have a health condition or specific learning need. It's important to note this process is different from university. Previous adjustments don't automatically carry over, as the GPhC has its own criteria and evidence requirements. To apply, you need to complete a specific form, Form A for specific learning needs like dyslexia, and Form B for other conditions, and provide supporting evidence from either a healthcare professional or education provider confirming the diagnosis and the adjustment recommended. All requests are reviewed by the GPhC Adjustments Panel. It's really important to apply early. Deadlines are usually around 4 months before the assessment. In terms of what can be provided, common adjustments include extra time, specific seating arrangements, or permission to take short breaks. There are some things we can't accommodate, like changing the content of the assessment, providing a paper version, or pausing the exam, but extra time can help you manage breaks yourself. Full details are available on our website if you need more information. What to bring on the day. All of this key information is available in the assessment day guidance on the GPhC website, but I'll highlight the essentials. First, a GPhC approved calculator. A list of approved calculators can be found on our website. Test centres won't provide one, although there is an on-screen option. If you decide to use your on-screen calculator, this is a decision you have made and it can't be used as a reason for nullification. Second, valid ID, a passport or driving licence. It must be in date, include a photo, and match the name you have on record. If you have any concerns, contact us as soon as possible. And third, water, but only in a transparent bottle. For anything else, refer to the permitted items list on the website. A final note, the approved calculator list has been updated recently, so do double check you're using a permitted model. Some calculators on the list are now discontinued but are still permitted for use in the assessment. Some useful reminders for the day itself. First, plan your journey in advance and allow for any delays. Arrive early. Centres open from 9 AM and you must be there at least 30 minutes before the start. If you're more than 15 minutes late, you won't be able to sit. Be aware of your start time. These are in the guidance, and if you have a 100% adjustment, you will have been given an earlier time. Make sure you're familiar with the permitted items list. Invigilators will check before you enter, and you'll be asked to confirm you don't have anything unpermitted. You'll have at least a 1 hour break between part 1 and part 2. In some cases, you may need to leave the centre, so plan ahead for that. Invigilators will let you know when to return for part 2. And finally, if any incident occurs on the day, it is your responsibility to raise it with an invigilator at the time so it can be logged. They'll help resolve any technical issues. We would recommend you familiarise yourself with the system. Being unfamiliar with the system is not grounds for a nullification request. So overall, plan ahead, arrive early, and know what to expect. Being fit to sit means that you do not know of any reason why your performance would be adversely affected on the day of the assessment. There are a range of circumstances that may lead to someone to decide they are not fit to sit. This could include illness on or leading up to the assessment, situations that have affected their preparation time, or personal circumstances that may impact performance. It may also include situations where a trainee feels they would be at a disadvantage in the assessment environment. For example, if a reasonable adjustment was not applied for or a request was not approved. Trainees should consider carefully their circumstances before beginning the assessment. If you stay at your workstation after you have declared yourself fit to sit, you can no longer withdraw from the assessment. If you decide not to sit the assessment, you do not need to notify GPhC in advance. However, the assessment fee is non-refundable. Importantly, choosing not to sit before starting the assessment does not count as an assessment attempt. If your fit to sit status changes at any point during the assessment, it's important that you make an informed decision about whether you feel able to continue. There are a range of situations that may affect this. For example, you may begin to feel unwell during the assessment, experience a significant technical issue, or be impacted by an incident within the test centre environment. Invigilators are not able to advise trainees on whether they are fit to continue. Their role is to invigilate the assessment, support with operational or technical issues where possible, and ensure that any incidents are appropriately recorded. If at any stage during the assessment you feel you're not able to continue, you should inform the invigilator immediately. This allows the situation to be formally logged and an incident report to be completed before you leave the test centre. It's important that any concerns or incidents are reported at the time they occur, as they may be relevant if a trainee later requests for their sitting to be reviewed or nullified. Trainees should also remember that both parts of the assessment must be completed and passed within one sitting. If you attempted any part of the assessment, or you have taken ill, or an unexpected situation happens during the sitting that impacts your performance, you may consider requesting to nullify your attempt. You have 2 working days after the assessment to submit the nullifications form and evidence to us. It is important that you notify an invigilator as soon as the incident occurs on the day, so a log of the incident can be made. Following the release of results, trainees can access their outcome through their MyGPhC account on results day. Where a trainee has been unsuccessful in an assessment attempt, they refer to the guidance document for unsuccessful trainees. This document outlines the next steps available, including information about the appeals process. Appeals can only be submitted where there are valid grounds for appeal. Examples for grounds for appeal may include new information or circumstances that were not known to the trainee at the time of sitting the assessment, but which may have affected their performance. An appeal may also be considered where there is evidence that an assessment procedure was not correctly applied by the GPhC in line with the assessment regulations, and this had an impact on performance during the assessment. Full details of the appeals process, including the grounds and timelines for submission, are available within the guidance provided after results are released. Here are a few points of reassurance that may help address some common concerns ahead of the assessment. Trainees are strongly encouraged to familiarise themselves with the assessment platform in advance by using the example questions and practice materials available on the GPhC website. This can help build confidence with the format and functionality of the system before the day itself. Where reasonable adjustment has been approved, the required adjustments will have already been shared with a test centre provider to ensure appropriate support is in place on the day. Trainees are also allowed to begin the assessment if they arrive within 15 minutes of the official start time. However, it's strongly recommended to arrive as early as possible to allow enough time to register, settle in, and prepare before the assessment begins. Test centres are open from 9 a.m. If a trainee decides not to sit the assessment before starting, this will not count as an assessment attempt. The assessment content is preloaded onto each workstation before the assessment begins, meaning an active internet connection is not required during the sitting itself. In addition, responses are automatically saved regularly throughout the assessment. If any technical or procedural issues arise during the assessment, trainees should raise these with the invigilator immediately so the issue can be logged and escalated where appropriate. All reported incidents are shared with the GPhC following the assessment. If a trainee has questions before or after the assessment, support is available through the GPhC contact centre during standard working hours, as well as through the assessment team mailbox. Here are some of the key guidance documents we recommend trainees read and become familiar with ahead of the assessment. These documents contain important information about the assessment processes, regulations, timelines, and what to expect before, during, and after the assessment. In particular, trainees are strongly encouraged to review the assessment day guidance document in advance of their sitting. Alongside the guidance available on the website, the GPhC also sends out a range of communications throughout the assessment cycle. These communications are intended to remind trainees of key information, important deadlines, and the processes associated with a common registration assessment. Taking time to read both the published guidance and the communication sent directly to you can help ensure you feel informed and prepared throughout the assessment journey.